Hello lovelies, welcome back to another episode of our dinner live series. I hope you've been enjoying the series so far. It is definitely a little different than what we usually do on the channel here, but I do want to reassure you that we will still have beautiful polished videos every Monday and every Thursday, but every Wednesday at 5 p.m. you can count on seeing me live from the kitchen, unedited. I'm as nervous as you guys probably are. And tonight I'm really excited about our recipe because we are making some easy steak fajitas. Now, these are perfect for weeknight cooking because they come together really, really quickly. If you want to follow along with the recipe, not to worry, you can definitely check it out in the description box below, or you can head to my Snapchat or my Instagram story where I have a nice recipe card. That's a great way for you guys to follow along. I usually share the recipe a day or two in advance, so if you wanted to, you could do all your shopping and we could actually cook together. Now, without further ado, let's get to some easy steak fajitas. For this recipe, it all starts with our seasoning blend. Actually, it all starts with me turning on my stove because we want our pan to be nice and hot when we're ready to get our steak on it. Now, I like to make my own seasoning blends for my fajitas, although you could just as easily use the store-bought kind. We're gonna start by mixing up some chili powder. I've got some ground cumin. I've got some ground ginger. No, this is garlic. That's powdered garlic. This is onion powder. Look at me, I'm like, I don't know what's in here. And this is paprika. And I've also got some dried oregano. Not to worry, the full recipe, like I said, is available in the description box, so don't worry about the exact measurements or anything like that. You can find it when we're done cooking there. I'm just gonna get a little oil in my pan. You want your pan to be nice and hot because of course we are cooking steak, and when you're cooking steak on a pan, you want your pan nice and hot so it seals in the juices because it only is gonna cook for 1 to 2 minutes per side depending on how well done you like your meat. Now, speaking of meat, today I am using the King of Steaks, a New York strip loin. Now, these were on sale at my supermarket, which is why I sprung for them. They are a little more expensive than, say, a sirloin or a flank steak. Both of those are great options as well. I will tell you, it was my fiance Greg who went out and picked these up from the store. And I asked him, I'm like, just bring me home, you know, some regular steaks. And they were like this big when they came home. So I actually cut them both in half because I thought there's no way you guys are gonna wanna sit here and watch me cook these steaks for like an hour and a half. You know what I'm saying? So we cut them to a more sensible thickness. I've got about 1/2 inch thickness happening here. And I'm just gonna season them up really, really liberally. This steak seasoning, or this fajita seasoning, is really how we're gonna get flavor into this dish. So you wanna go for it. And then we're gonna sear all of that yumminess on. We're also going to season these with some salt and some pepper because let's be serious, everything is made better by some salt and some pepper. So we are going to get these beautiful pieces of beef into the pan. Let's hope for a really good sear. Ah, yeah. We've got a nice sizzle happening in the pan, which I love. That is always a good sign. And like I said, we are only going to be cooking these for 1 minute or 2 per side. That's really all it takes when you're dealing with beef. Now, another thing I love about this recipe is how versatile it is. If you are not a beef eater, it is absolutely fine. You could do this with some chicken if you wanted to. Some shrimp would be amazing. You could even do this with tofu if you were into that. I have a great tofu video I just launched on the channel last week. Or no, it would have been Monday. So I hope if you haven't checked that out already, you definitely will. We made some incredible tofu recipes. Actually made tofu lasagna. And if you can believe it, it was insanely, insanely delicious. So it's one of those, you kind of can't knock it until you've given it a try. All right, so now that my steak is in my pan, it is time to turn my attention to my vegetables. And what is amazing about this recipe is how simple it is. We're really just using some peppers and some onions, and we're gonna fry them up in the same pan that we're cooking our steak in. Now, my technique for cutting my peppers actually comes from the one and only Gordon Ramsay. I don't know if you've ever seen him do it, but he basically, there's a great video on YouTube actually about it. But he flips his peppers upside down and then like shaves off each side. And I saw him do it once and I was like, that's genius. And it works really, really well. So I love it. that has been how I cut my peppers since then, and it makes things really, really simple. Now I'm basically racing to cut my peppers because as soon as my peppers are done being chopped, my steak will be ready to flip. That's how fast this is all gonna happen. And you know, I'm kind of orchestrating some magic here as I'm working live in the kitchen.
This is really high stakes, wouldn't you say?
Casey coming through with a wonderful pun. High stakes cooking, am I right? High stakes, steak in the pan, get it guys? As I think I've mentioned before, and I will mention again, Casey is definitely the pun king in this kitchen. So I would say well more over half of the puns that you hear on this channel, maybe 75% if I'm being really honest with myself, are courtesy of Casey behind the camera, and he'll often stop me and be like, wait, I got a good one. We were actually shooting some videos today. They'll be live on the channel Monday, I think, all about cauliflower, and it was a really fun day of puns. So I hope you will tune in for that because it was, I would say, one of our better efforts in the pun department. All right, so these are ready to be flipped. You can see all of that seasoning has seared in. It is oh so good smelling in here right now. The chili powder, that ground cumin, the whole kitchen smells incredible. That's only gonna cook for another minute or so on the other side. So I better get to chopping this onion. Now, we were having a chat before we got started about why a red onion is actually called red when it is quite clearly a purple onion. If any of y'all know why, please leave your responses in the chat box because I would love to understand better why it is called that. I also will mention, speaking of the chat box, that we would love to hear from you. I'm gonna be doing a little bit of a Q&A after today's episode. So if you have any questions about food, about me, about the channel, about, I don't know, days of the week, the weather, whatever you like to know, leave those in the chat box and I'll try to get to as many as I can when we're done. All right, we are in really good shape here. Our steak is looking amazing. We're gonna take it out, let it rest a little over here on this cutting board. And Casey's gonna take my plate away. And I'm like, no, I need that. I need to put that something on that. While those are resting up, we are going to get to work on cooking up our veg. I'm just gonna add a little more oil to my pan, and I'm going to pour all of these beautiful peppers and onions into the skillet. The moment they hit the skillet, my favorite thing happens. You get a good sizzle on. You remember when you go to a restaurant and it was so novel to order the fajitas because they came in the cast iron pan and you just felt so excited about it? Was that just me? I think Casey and I were reminiscing earlier today about how great it was because you felt really important because the skillet came, it was very hot, and it made quite the scene at the restaurant. All right, so once our veggies are in the pan, we are going to use the rest of our amazing seasoning. We would not want to leave any of it behind. We're gonna season up our vegetables. I also like to add just a little bit of liquid to the pan. Now, right now I'm adding water. You could just as easily do this with some chicken broth or some beef broth. I find it helps to both cook and steam your vegetables so they cook a little faster, a little more evenly, and you end up with a bit of sauciness, which is always amazing in a fajita. You end up with like some saucy vegetables, and I think it just adds a little something. It also prevents sticking, and if I'm being really honest, it makes doing dishes easier. And in case you haven't heard, I am all about dishes that are easier to do. So while those veggies are cooking away, I am just going to slice up my steak. Now, if you are cooking up your steak at home and you're using an inexpensive cut, the real secret to cutting your steak is to cut it against the grain. Even if you're using a flank steak or a sirloin, it really goes a long way to helping your steak be more tender. Now, I love a nice medium rare, so this is perfect for me. If you like your steak a little better done, no big deal. You can definitely keep these on for longer. Totally your call. Now, if you are a beef fan, I should mention that tomorrow's episode is absolutely for you. It is our date night dinner episode, and let me tell you, we pulled out all the stops. We made some chocolate raspberry macaron some French onion stuffed mushrooms, and an oven roasted beef tenderloin that your partner will absolutely love. So if you want to spoil them this Valentine's Day, that is an amazing way to do it, I think. So I highly recommend you check out that video tomorrow. There also might just be a special guest appearance by someone who has never ever shown his face on camera on the Domestic Geek. My fiance Greg might be popping in to say hi in that video. So I definitely hope you will take a look for it. I think you guys will be so super jazzed. All right, now our veggies are looking incredible. We're gonna season them up with a little bit of salt. We've got a little bit of pepper. I also am going to return all of this beautiful beef back into the pan very carefully so I don't burn myself. And then we're just gonna toss it all together. And this dinner is almost ready to be enjoyed. Now, the cool part about fajita night is I like to serve it buffet style. So I just let my whole family decide what sort of toppings they want. I always put out a little bit of sour cream, some salsa, some fresh avocado is always awesome, but you could also do some guac. That would be really tasty. Once your beef has been reincorporated into your pan, this is ready to rock. And let me tell you, it smells pretty fantastic. Now I should mention that this pan is insanely heavy, so just getting it over to you is no small feat. We're gonna stir this around one more time, and then we are going to finish all of this goodness off. Whoa, I almost lost my lime, everyone. We're gonna finish it all off with some lime juice for freshness. And my loves, there you go. Dinner, live. How easy was that? You could go and do this in your own kitchens right now. I know you could. I really hope you guys will give this recipe a try. If you do, as always, be sure to tweet me, Instagram me, or Snapchat me a photo because it always means so much to see your photos. And also, I just love seeing your kitchen creations. Now, while this finishes up, I do have time for just a couple questions. So I hope you guys left some in the chat box. I'm just gonna flip over my trusty computer and of course resist the urge to put it on that hot stove. I'll try to resist the urge. All right, so Sarah wants to know about cast iron. I have had cast iron pans in the house for years and I've actually ruined them over and over again. It was very, very stressful for a long time cooking with cast iron, and I would refuse to do it. And it's really funny because last year I mentioned it on the channel and told people how much I hated cooking with cast iron pans. And once I put it out there, I got so many great messages back in the comment section about how to care for my cast iron pans, and I have been obsessed ever since. And the real secret, I mean, when you buy a cast iron pan, it comes with the actual directions for seasoning it. That's what it's called, is oiling a cast iron pan is actually called seasoning it. But the real secret to working with a cast iron pan is using it really frequently because the more oil you use in it, the better it becomes. So there you go. Cast iron is one of my favorite things. All right, so I have a question from Lemonade Sour. She wants to know, will I ever do a kitchen tour? Oh my gosh, I am so excited. I am actually going to be doing a kitchen reveal very, very soon. Of course, you guys have seen this part of the brand new kitchen, but there's actually a whole world out there that I can't wait to show you. We have just been crazy busy and trying to make sure that everything is all done. So that will be happening very, very soon. I'm thinking in the next few weeks we'll do not only a kitchen reveal, but also the rest of the studio, which is so exciting. It has been a long and drawn out labor of love. So I really hope you guys love it as much as I do, and I will let you know when that video is going to be coming out. Leslie, what kind of steak did I use? All right, so today I used a New York strip loin. That's otherwise known as the king of steaks. It's a really beautiful cut of beef, very tender, but it can be on the more expensive side. You could definitely do this with some sirloin or even some flank steak. Both of those are less expensive cuts and are equally delicious, particularly when you're doing something like this. You don't have to go for the most expensive type of beef. You'll get loads of flavor no matter what cut of beef you actually use. All right. Milena wants to know, what is my go-to breakfast? All right, so I have two go-to breakfasts. My first, of course, is a smoothie. As you guys know, I'm a bit smoothie obsessed. I have shared hundreds of smoothies on the, maybe not hundreds. I'd say I've probably shared like 75 smoothies between Instagram and the YouTube channel. My favorite right now is a banana, pineapple, and mango smoothie with vanilla yogurt, vanilla almond milk, and a little bit of ginger. It's pretty delicious. So that's one. Another go-to breakfast for me is really simple. Scrambled eggs. 2 eggs, a little bit of milk, scramble them up and eat them with half an avocado. Kind of boring sometimes when it comes to breakfast. I really should up my breakfast game if I'm being honest. Jake Sawyer says, have you ever been to the UK? Also, I bought the Titan peeler. Yes, this is awesome. Okay, 2 things. I have only ever been to the UK on a stopover in the airport. Lovely airport, I must say. I did eat at, whose restaurant? Jamie Oliver's restaurant? No, Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, plain food. Pretty good. And he does this little crazy awesome thing where he creates like airplane picnics. I know that sounds strange, but you can go to his restaurant, order your airplane picnic, and it's like elevated airplane food. Really delicious stuff. But I don't think that the UK is just about its airport. I would love to get over to the UK sometime this year. We are definitely hoping to do that within 2017 and collab with some of my favorite UK creators because there's so many there. My Virgin Kitchen, Donald Scan's one of my favorites, he's over there. And of course, if Jamie Oliver wants to have me into his kitchen, I would never say no. That would kind of be like a dream come true. And I will also say, the Titan peeler, I hope you love it as much as I do. It is one of my favorite things, so I'm glad that you bought it and I hope it was a success. All right. Jamila asks, did I go to culinary school? Absolutely not. I am definitely a home cook and a food enthusiast in general, but I did not go to culinary school. I actually, by trade, was a TV producer a long time